associated properties on it. And the mandatory property on every node that identifies the type of node is called JCR primary type. Okay, where some of the types that we saw were folder, file. That when I created a page, a CQ page node was getting created. When I created a DAM asset was getting created. And also whenever I create a page, it's getting stored below /content. Okay. And we saw some of the advantages of JCR or the features of JCR. One is access control, where creation of users and giving them permissions, there is a built-in console. You don't need to write a single line of code for that. Then there is also search in the repository, where you search for a term. Basically, everything gets indexed, like the properties that you want to set out will be indexed. And when you add a search, right, you have something called Lucene search that runs in the backend, and it gives you the search results. Then what we also saw was any node or property being added, modified, or changed, a Java code gets executed. Right? Then how is it getting persisted? Whatever data is in the repository, right? It's getting added in the form of tar files into segment store, where every segment is 256 KB in size. How to view the repository? crx/de. Right? And then to access that particular JCR over the web, there is Sling. Right? It allows you to webify the content. That is REST-based protocol. Then we also saw OSGI, benefits of OSGI. Right? This is what we covered yesterday. Going a little forward today, we want to talk about REST. Right? What is the meaning of? Anybody knows the meaning of REST protocol? REST services.
REST services are something like everything is considered as address and a URL, so we'll go to that path and get the content.
Exactly. So basically, you have your objects. Objects are given a unique resource identifier. That's the URI. So every object will, which means two objects cannot have the same URI. It needs to be unique. And the representation. So why is it called representational state transfer? It's because the URI can return the response in 4 formats. Right. One is XML, JSON, HTML. Right. So these are the standard formats which are supported. Okay. Now, Sling is a REST-based protocol to access the JCR over the web, right? How is that? Let's see. Okay. REST, right? Basically, REST is HTTP-based protocol. Every object has a URI. What is the meaning of stateful protocol and stateless protocol? Anybody? What do I mean by state? For a banking application, is it stateful or a stateless protocol? When you log into your HDFC bank, right? So basically, when you make a request, server responds back with a response. The subsequent request, right? You are maintaining a session, so that way, next request you will know that it's coming from the same person, and it will not ask you for the username and password, right? So that's stateful protocol. But with the REST, one request, right, and a response, right? The cycle is over. The next request coming in will not know about previous requests. Okay, so it's a stateless protocol. Okay. Then a resource on object can have multiple representations like HTML, JSON, or XML. Sorry, somebody had a question.
I just like you told, it is a stateless protocol. So can't we manage session here in this?
No, you cannot have session. However, to sessions, HTTP sessions are not supported. If you still want to maintain a session, there's something called cookie-based or token-based authentication. You need to use that mechanism if you want to maintain state.
Okay.
Where you set some kind of cookie, and you will ensure that if it's coming from the same person, that cookie will be available across the sessions. I mean, across the requests, different browser requests. Do you agree with me? That's how you identify.
Okay. And if cookie is disabled, then we will not be able to maintain.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why most of the websites have a disclaimer, right? Unless cookie is there. Okay. So
yes,
every node is considered as a resource. Right? So basically in JCR everything is a node, and in Sling, or right, when I talk about Sling is a REST-based protocol, everything is considered as a resource. Okay. Now, how does this Sling mechanism work? Right. So you need to understand the ways URL can be found in AEM. So if you look at the content repository, it starts with the root. Right? Root has child nodes over here, and the path here, right, will be with root. So the syntax of any URL in AEM, right, would be HTTP followed by the server name. Right? If it is you're working on your local machine, it will be localhost. If you have a server hosted on a domain, you could have a domain name, port number. So after this one, sometimes if you're working on authoring instance, right, you could have CF hash for classic UI followed by content path, or if you're working on touch UI, you could have editor.html. After this root here corresponds to the root node in your JCR followed by the content path and the extension. Right? This is the generic format. Okay. Now the first type of URL is simple URL with a content path. Now if I ask you the content path, right, starting from this slash till the first dot will be the content path. So in this case it's Citrix CN products routers. After that, if you see any valid 3 extensions like HTML, JSON or XML, right, that becomes your extension. That's the first kind of URL that you can have. Okay, any questions I will take it. Okay, last 15-20 minutes I'll allocate for questions. So we will go uninterrupted and then we'll stop for any questions. Then the next kind of URL is URL with a query parameter, right? Now, what do I mean by query parameter, right? It's basically used to add some input to your URL. Okay. So after the extension, right, when you how do I add query parameter? Key equal to value, and if you want to have multiple query parameters, you will separate it by a and ampersand, right? So this is query parameter. On a servlet, I don't know if all of you are from a Java background. If I have a query parameter, generally, how do I fetch that on the server side code? Anybody?
This
Get
get
parameter.
parameter is the method.
Yes. Request that get parameter, right? So for people who are new to Java, okay, you can look at servlets by Java. Okay, this was, I mean, if you want to refer, you can. There's a YouTube channel. You can go and read this one. And people who are new to JSP, have everybody here in this audience worked on JSPs? Good, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So if not, you can go and read this. In this notes I've added link where they explain you all these directives. You want to recap, okay, you can read all these. That's the second type. One is URL with simple content path, URL with a query parameter. There is also something called selector. Okay, what do I mean by selector? After the content path, right, from this root till the dot is the content parameter. After this, if you see any word other than the supported extensions in REST, which are JSON, HTML, and XML, if you see any other word, that classifies as a selector. Okay, you could have multiple words as selector. In that case, you will add one more dot over here. Okay. So in this case, can somebody tell me what is the selector in this URL?
It is mobile.
Mobile. In the first URL, it's mobile. In the second URL, it is .mobile.california. Okay. The benefit of adding selector is you are again adding some information to the URL. Okay. So what do I do with this information on the server side when you're trying to perform the business logic? Right? You will say if request.getSelector dot contains, if it is mobile California, you can have some business logic, right? Performing some business logic. Or if it is all users from Australia dot mail, right? All mail users from Australia, you could have some business logic during the processing and render some content specific to them if you want, right? All these things you can do over here. That's why you will add a selector. So what now you might ask me, hey, I already added a query parameter, right? How is adding a selector better than a query parameter? Anybody? I think Priyanka, you said you worked on AEM. Any idea why selector is better than query parameter? If it's still performing the same functionality?
I don't. I mean, maybe because like we have multiple scripts, so Sling will take care of which rendering script we need to. I mean, which is the script we need to render on the page.
Okay, the main benefit is it can be cached, right? So when you
Okay.
add a query parameter, it cannot be cached. Okay, when we learn there is something called as dispatcher. So dispatcher caches the HTML content. However, dispatcher doesn't cache URLs with a query parameter. Okay, that is the reason Adobe recommends you to use selector for caching. Okay, that is the main advantage. Okay, the advantage of having selector over query parameter is that that particular page can be cached by the dispatcher. Okay, you will understand that. The fourth kind of URL, right, is the same thing, right? In this URL, can somebody tell me what is the selector? Fourth URL.
Youngsters, this one.
Okay, that is not selector. Selector is only before the extension. If you have any dot and a word, it becomes the selector. After the extension, right, if you have anything along with this slash, right, age youngsters, right, then this word here becomes as a suffix. Again, this suffix is also used to add additional information. Okay, so for all mobile California users, okay, and slash female users. For all female users using mobile from California location, right? Now in this one, suffix will be slash female. So this way you can add more information. Right? Other than selector, if you want to add more information and still cache it, you can use suffix. Now on the server side, how will you process it? If request that get suffix dot contains this particular word, you can do some business, perform business logic on that one. Okay? So there is one example here. For all California users, age 25. Okay? See here in this URL, what is the content path? Anybody? From this slash till routers is the content path, right? From the first slash till the dot is the content path. After the content path, if I see any word other than the valid supported extensions, so in this case it's mobile, that becomes dot mobile dot is the selector. You also need to include the dot. Okay, dot mobile dot is the selector. And what is the suffix? Percentage California, percentage something. San you say. Yeah, that's the suffix. And what is the query parameter? Is this URL is a combination of everything. Okay. Now, what happens, right? It's still a mystery, right? Now, yesterday, if you see, I opened up a page. Now over here, when I open up any page, what exactly happens in the backend, right? We still don't know. The first thing that happens over here, right, is look at this mechanism. How does this is a very important interview question as well, right? How does Sling resolution work, or what happens when I open a path in AEM, right? Or how does content resolution work, right? All these three questions are one and the same. Okay? So you need to remember these steps. Okay? First, whenever you fire any URL, step number one is content resolution. Okay? So control will go to this particular path, content Nike EN. Okay? So in this case, where will it go? It will go to content geometrics EN. That's the step number one. So you will come to your CRX repository and the content comes to the content result. And remember, yesterday I told you one particular rule about a page. Does anybody recall that rule? What is the child node of any page in AEM?
This is JCR content.
It is a node called JCR content, right? This is what I told. Any page you take. So when to any page, step number one, it will come to that particular path, that's content resolution. Then it will pick up the child node, okay, a node called JCR content. And also one more thing is the child node will be of type CQ page content, and the page node will be of type CQ page. Okay. On the child node, so now let's talk about a little bit about MVC. In MVC, where will the request go first? To which layer among this M or V or C?
To see.
Amazon.com/books.jsp. That's what we say, right? So is that the view or the controller?
It's a view.
hdfc.com.
View.
Yeah, so it will come to the view. From there, it will go to the controller. Then your model will be connecting, let's say, to a database via JDBC or something. And then you pass back that particular JSON response back to the view. Right? This is the step number 1, 2, 3, 4. Typical MVC. But in AEM, my model is my JCR. Do you agree with me? That's the data. No concept of database. So in AEM, it's reverse. What is it hitting first? This is the data, right? Repository. It's the M first. All of you agree with me? It's the reverse here. Yes or no?
Yeah.
You need to respond, guys. Do you agree with this logic?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm adding that over here. Note. Okay. Now, typically, what ideally should happen is I should have some mechanism, right, where I'm going to link this model first. It came to the model. I need to have some kind of mechanism, right? Then controller where I should map to the view. Okay. View again, it could be JSP or HTML. Okay. So now the controller layer, definitely everything should be property. Now I need some mechanism to link this to a JSP. Okay, so that linking happens by using something called as Sling colon resource type. The Sling colon resource type, right? Now think of this logically, right? When I look at this page, I told you website is made up of pages. Page is made up of these components. Okay, now when I say component, every component has a rendering script. Okay, so this is image. There would be some script like image.jsp or image.html. This is text component, right? Every component will have a script. Script is JSP or HTML. Okay, so I need to link this page to a component, right? I cannot link it directly to a JSP, so I need to link it to a component so that that component can be reused across pages. Okay? Which means I'm basically trying to link my model to the view, so to the rendering script. Okay, ultimately. So pick up the child node, and on that child node, for sure, you will see something called as Sling colon resource type. Any page will have JCR content child node. Go over there, Sling colon resource type will point to the component rendering component. Okay, and this rendering component will point to the be relative. Okay, so if it starts, okay, so see here, it came here, and this content page.htjsp something will be there, and that is what getting rendered. At a high level, do all of you understand what is happening? Okay, so Sling engine will point, right? Sling resource type will point to the relative path. Now, what is absolute? What is relative? If the component, right? You need to remember one more thing. All the components that a developer builds will be below /apps. Any component site that you are going to build will be below apps. Anything that the author creates, right? Yesterday, if you remember, where does the author go to create a page? He will go to the site admin. One minute, let me get my charger. Okay, so now anything that the author creates, right? Any page that the author wants to create will be below this /content. And the developer first creating of components, templates, or anything will happen below apps. Now, what I'm trying to do over this here is this Sling resource type. I need to link it to the component which is built below here, right? So if you see, this will relate to the geometrics components. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm adding here. The meaning of absolute path is if it is starting with root, okay, and apps, this is absolute path. If you just take it from some word randomly over here, that becomes your relative path. Sling resource type points to the relative path. In that case, you will ask me then, how will my Sling engine know where exactly should I pick up this path? Okay, the way it works is it will first prefix this path, whatever is over here, with /apps. Okay. Any path, it will first look like what I showed you over here. Let's say I go to /content. Don't worry, when I show you an example, it will be even clearer. At a high level, I'm showing. So copy this. Okay. The way it works is, it will take whatever path is there for Sling resource type and prefix with /apps. If it is able to find, then it will get the rendering script and render. If it didn't find this particular thing over here, it will try to prefix with /libs. Okay. Libs will have all the AEM. I told you, right? Whenever you start the AEM server for the first time, there are some built-in components. Now, where is the source code for that built-in components? I told you developer is building everything below apps, but the source code for all the built-in components is below /libs. There is something called foundation, libs foundation components. Okay, all the built-in components will be available here. So it will try to see, okay, that component that Sling resource type is pointing to is not available below /apps. I will try to find it below /libs. If it is not found below /libs, then a 404 will be thrown. Till here, any question you have? Is this clear with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, how about the other new people? Jagdish, Kiran, Raju.
No questions.
Okay, you are comfortable, right? What the logic is coming? Okay, so now let's create. And Jagdish?
No questions.
Sorry,
No
Kiran?
questions.
Okay, very good. So let's straight away jump into an example and see how we are creating the website, right? How do I create straight away one example? So there are some steps. Okay, this is the first hands-on we are doing. How do I create a website in AEM? First of all, you're going to go below the /apps folder and create the project name. Okay, that's the first thing. /apps you will create, and below. Okay, the reason I'm adding some spaces over here is to show you that it's the child node. And over here you will create. There's something called as templates, which we'll understand. Templates.
Rajesh, I have one question.
Okay.
As you said, page is a collection of components. For every component, one Sling resource type will be there.
Yes.
How it will render all components at a time in the page?
You will understand. Okay, there is something called as inside a page. You will understand when we break it down. It will come to know. Okay, just wait
Okay,
for
okay,
that. I will show you.
okay, okay.
Name itself will tell you. Components will hold the components. Template. We don't know what is a template in AEM. We don't know what a template is. SRC will hold all the Java. I told you, right? OSGI is a jar file. Okay, bundle. So for that source code, if you want to add some Java code, it will go below the SRC folder. And when you compile that compiled piece, that jar which you add, that will come in the install folder. Okay, you can skip SRC and install. When I talk about OSGI, you will come to know that. Today we will focus mainly on templates and components. Okay, what is a template in AEM? Any definition? Anybody wants to guess what is a template?
Templates are something
Template
which
is
we need to
standard
create a page.
Okay.
standard structure.
Standard structure. Okay, used to create a page is the standard structure. Very good. Okay.
Page layout for creating the pages.
Initial page layout. Very good. Okay. Yes, all these answers are correct in a way. Any other answers? So, template is the basis for creating a page, which means a page cannot exist without a template. Author has to choose a template for, okay, one and the same way of saying point, adding a point. Okay, author has to choose a page. Okay, as somebody told, it can give me an initial layout too. Okay. A template basically points. Okay. Now you need to understand some important things over here. Okay, there are two kinds of components. Okay, one is okay. The meaning of page rendering component is, now let's say I go over here and I go to geometrics. Okay, if I want to create, let's say, new page below English. Excuse me. Okay, I say create a page. Okay. So these are all the templates that I can use to create my page. Okay, let's say I choose geometry. Okay, so if I use content page, it will give me this kind of layout. If I use asset share, it will give me this kind of layout. If I use geometrics forum, it will give me this kind of layout. Okay, so there are different, every template points to some kind of a structure, as somebody told me is the initial structure. Okay, now if I say next, so the initial layout, right, this is given by the template, and that template points to a page rendering component. Okay, now this initial component is called page rendering component. Then inside the page, if I add anything else, right, I could drag and drop any component from here. Right? There is one placeholder where I can drag and drop the component. Right? Let's say I add an image. So the components inside the page are called global components, which can be reused across templates, across pages. However, the initial layout that you get is called as a page rendering component. Okay. So you need to discriminate between these two, right? Your things like your image, text, etc. can be used inside any page. So that thing that you use inside is called global. Makes sense, everyone?
Yeah.
So that's the meaning of page rendering and global components. The template points to a page rendering component. When I say the moment I say it points, okay, how is it that it's going to point? By Sling colon resource type. We will see how. Sling colon resource type. Okay, now the first thing, right? I'll go ahead and create a site structure. Initially we'll start with CRXD, then as we slowly progress and get comfortable, we move to Eclipse. The first thing, go to apps folder, right click, say create. The folder. Let's call it as Walmart. The application I'm trying to build is a new site for Walmart where I'm going to build them components and pages. And over here, create folder. Components, templates. Step number 1. Okay. Whenever you're trying to build a site, okay, just try to create a template first. Okay, that's the first thing. So for now we understand what is a template. Okay, it's used to create a page. So I'll right click. Okay, there is an option that says create template. Use that create template option. Okay, and over here I want to call this as home page. Let's say I'm building the first thing is I'm building a home page template for them. And let's call this as Walmart homepage. So I'll say this is the first. Okay, so template, I told you it points to a page rendering component. The moment I say it's pointing, it means that property called Sling resource type. Okay, always remember that in AEM. So I'll say again, whenever you work with resource type, right, you always add a relative path. Okay, so here instead of saying /apps/Walmart /components, it points to a page rendering component. So I'll assume that all the page rendering components will be below a folder called page, and let's assume there's a component named home page. Should this and this be the same? Not required. Whatever is the name of the component, you can add it. Okay, so it's good to have relative path when working with resource type. So I'll use this. The meaning of ranking over here is, now when you're trying to create a page, if you have 100 templates here, where exactly do you want? Do you want to show that at the first position or at the 100th position or at the 50th position, right? You can give the numbering for that templates. Okay, so let's say I want to show it as my first template. Okay, so I'll give rank on. There is also something called allowed paths. Okay, so let's think about what allowed paths is. Now when I click on Geometrix demo, okay, let's say your company has 5 websites. Okay, we are working for Deloitte Consulting and Deloitte has 5 websites. In that case, if I go to Geometrix demo site, I want to show templates specific to Geometrix demo. Right? I don't want to show something that is specific to Citrix website. Okay, so I need to say where exactly my template should be visible for creating the page. So below Geometrix demo, you will see this Geometrix content page, Geometrix home page, right? Some things. However, if I go below Citrix HTL, that Geometrix demo site shouldn't show up. Do you agree with me? Stuff that is generic to Citrix should show up. So this way, at template creation level, you can say where exactly the template, under which path the template should be visible. All of you agree with me on this one? Do you think it's a valid requirement?
Yes. But for the first page, I mean, which we are creating like Geometrix, how we will go in that case?
You'll just say allowed path /Geometrix/star, like that you will give the path.
Okay, no, but for the first page that we are creating for our site, like Geometrix, first page, first in the hierarchy. So In that case, we need to give slash content, isn't it?
In that, you give it like that, and then go and edit that. After creation, you will go and edit it.
Okay. 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 Got it.
That's possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's possible.
Okay, so let's say in my case, okay, what with the way I am working, I want my page so definitely it should be available below slash content. If I just say slash content as allowed path, is it enough to be for it to be available below any path?
No.
Others? Any answers?
Yes, it is enough.
Okay, let's
If
see
you
that.
want to,
Let's see that. Okay, now if I say new page, Walmart homepage, it came here very good. Let's say I will say the Walmart site. Okay, you're right, it's available. But below this, if I want to create another page, let's say English or whatever, that Walmart is not available here. Why? Because I just started the allowed path as slash content. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
So what to do in this case? So you don't know how many characters are available after this one. How many levels below you want this. So you need to support some kind of regular expression. So I'll go here again. You don't know. It could be just this, or you could have as many number of slash and any number of characters. Okay. Dots represents a single character. Star represents 0 or more occurrences of previous character. This entire thing, you may not have this at all, right? This entire thing can be 0, which means whatever is in this bracket, 0 or more occurrences again. Question mark. Or question mark represents again 1 or more, 0 or more occurrences of whatever is in the regular expression, whatever is there before. It could be slash content, it could be slash content slash citrix slash en, how many ever levels below, it doesn't matter, right? Generic expression we added. Then if you save it, and then now if you check, I could have English. Below English, I could have products. Below products, I could have as many pages. Whatever. Okay, now when I double click the page, I want some content to be shown up. Okay, so what is the next thing? How am I pointing, right? So the template points to the page rendering component. So I'll go to Walmart components page homepage. Right, create a folder, call it as page. Create. Okay, now how to create component? Just like right clicking, it gave you create template. You have an option called create component over here. Okay, I will say create component. I call this as home page. Whenever you are adding the label, guys, the label is what gets created as a node name over here. So in this case, if you want to separate two words, don't add a space, rather separate it by a hyphen. Don't have any numeric special characters when giving the name. For title, you can have spaces, but not for the label is the name of the node that gets created. Okay, so I'll say Walmart. Super type we don't know, group we don't know. Okay, you just ignore that. We'll see. Say next and say okay, save it. Okay, so what is happening over here is this Sling colon resource type, when I'm creating the template, is pointing to the page rendering component, Walmart components somewhere, the relative path, and it came over here, Walmart components page homepage. It will render this homepage. The moment I create a component, every component has a script. I told you, remember? So this one has a. The moment you say right click create component, the script is automatically available over here. JSP is nothing but a combination of HTML and Java. So I'll add some basic stuff first over here. One minute. So now that I've done created and added some script. Okay, let's say if I click this. Yes. Okay, now can somebody tell me how does Sling resolution work? The rules we discussed sometime before. What is the step
Yeah.
number 1?
First of all, it will go to the content path.
Okay.
JCR.
What is the selector in this URL?
There is no selector.
Extension?
HTML.
Yeah. Content path is content. So step number 1, it will go to this content path. I'll come to this content path. And then what is the next step?
JCR content will look for the child node.
Sling resource type.
What will Sling resource type do?
Go to the relative path.
A relative path of what?
The requested page.
It will add.
It will point to the relative path of the, yeah, correct. I want you to understand use the correct term. It will point to the relative path of the page rendering component. Okay, so here this is the page rendering component. So if it's automatically, it will come here. And now you need to understand few things. Okay, it will come over here, and then it will pick up that script and render. Okay, there is one scenario when you have selector and all. We will see those rules. That's not a big thing, but what you need to understand is whatever is below this, the moment you created a template, it created a JCR content of type CQ:page content with Sling resource type. Whatever is below the template is what is getting copied below this page over here. Do you agree with me? Same CQ page content. This entire thing below here got copied over here below the page. Do you agree with me, all of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is, if you know this fundamental, that's more than enough. Okay. Now I will stop over here. Tomorrow we'll discuss some rules. There is Sling resolution rules. I will talk that tomorrow when you have selector. Now it's time to ask any questions if you have anything.
Rajesh, tomorrow we have a class. Saturday,
Yes,
Sunday.
Friday is there.
No, today is Friday.
Oh no, you're in India, right? This training is
Okay.
happening from US. So your Sunday and Monday you will have holiday, right?
Okay,
So
okay.
Monday will have holiday. Tuesday will be morning will be there for your India day.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rajesh, every
If
page what we have created for that page, we have 3 types of renditions.
no, don't use such terminology. Rendition. I never spoke about rendition. Oh,
Do you
the
mean
rendering. You mean the extension? Extension,
yeah,
right?
about extension I am talking.
Yes. You're right. I blocked XML, some OSJ config, but yes, if you see JSON directly you cannot get. Yeah, anyway, directly also you can get. You can go one level below that page, two level below that page and get it. .1.json. .2 means it will go 2 levels below that particular node and give you. If you want to go all levels below and get the entire JSON, that's REST, right? This is REST. .infinity. It gone all level below that page. Do you agree with me?
Okay. We'll call this as rendition, or otherwise what will call? That is full rendition.
This one is representation. You can call it representation of that page.
Okay.
REST stands for representation state transfer. JSON, XML, and HTML.
Okay.
HTML we already saw. For XML, I have blocked the XML in OSJ config. We need to allow one place. Any other question? Tomorrow, what we'll see?
I have one question. In this notes, previously you have used request. Request dot get something. So is it HTTP request only?
No, it's Sling request.
Okay, it is Sling request.
It's a wrapper over HTTP. It's a Sling HTTP request. It's not just HTTP request.
All right. So are we going to cover this request as well in back?
Yes, surely. In servlets, we are going to cover that part.
Okay. So that will be Sling servlet as.
In Sling servlet, yes, we are going to cover that one.
Oh, okay. And one more question I have, like you are using geometrics, but when I'm using 6.3, I can see only v.retail.
v.retail, yeah. The reason, see, for beginners, I always prefer using geometrics because you have 5 sites. Geometrics demo, geometrics outdoor, commerce, everything. But with v.retail, for somebody who is beginning, it is very complex to learn. That's the reason I am suggesting the folks to do with 6.2. The same mechanism will work in 6.3, 4 or whatever. So
but how will we get geometrics? Do we have package or something?
Yeah, you'll have to take the zip from 6.2 and put it 6.3, or I'm sharing both the thing. Okay, this first few things. I will do on 6.2. You will also do on 6.2. Then you can try it on 6.3. Anyway, I'm going to share the jars with you, both 6.2 and 6.3.
Okay.
The steps didn't change. The steps to create template component didn't change in 6.3. It's just that few features got added.
Okay.
Nothing changed. Still Sling JCR only. No concepts extra added.
Okay. So everything is same except few features.
Yeah.
Okay, and one more question, like not from this training. I just have one question. When you will show backend coding, so we'll do everything like Eclipse configuration and debugs and everything.
Yes.
So that is my main point. Actually, I wanted to join this training. I want to learn this backend things.
Backend only. See, it is combination of both basic developer and advanced developer.
Okay. Then it is fine. Yes, so that's all. And we can connect like today I'll try whatever you have shown in this training. I'm going to do the
Looks
hands-on for
like
the
you're
same.
already at expert level.
I don't think so. I just have the
Okay.
basic idea
What
of
time
this.
zone you are on? Indian or
India
US?
time zone, India.
Okay, okay.
So later on, if I want to connect on some issue, so how we are going to connect?
Which issue?
Like anything and whatever you have shown, if I'm not able to get it, if I
Next day session you can ask. For first 10 minutes
okay,
I'll set aside. Or last 10
okay,
minutes. Whatever I'm comfortable, I'll set aside.
okay, sure, that makes sense.
Okay, guys. So if you don't have anything, I'll share everything. And you can enroll with your respective coordinators for the training to continue tomorrow. I think most of you have
Okay.
already done over here. I think it's your first class. You have to confirm with Monica, I guess.
Yeah, I need to confirm.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, guys. Thanks then. See you tomorrow. Bye.
okay. Thank you, Rajesh. Bye bye.
Thanks. Good day, all of you. Bye.